Hey, everybody, we want to welcome you to a special episode of the Get Your Geek On podcast. This is our Stranger Things debate. As always, we are your hosts, Charles KIWACZ,
Robert Dokes,
Anthony Arsenio.
and this week we are taking a look at all things Stranger Things, and that is the Netflix phenomenon that has captivated the nation. The 8-episode series has been on Netflix now for over a month, so if you haven't seen it, spoilers obviously are going to be well afoot. But I figured we were going to try something different today, since we all love the show. Rather than sit here and praise it for the next half hour, we are going to have a good old-fashioned debate. It's an election year, so why not? This is going to be Anthony against Robert today. I have set aside some predetermined questions, and they're going to debate back and forth. I will award a point for each category, and when we get to the end of the questions, whoever has the most points wins. So I will remain a completely impartial party here. Whoever provides the best point will get the point. And here we go. We're going to start off. Obviously, we all love the show, so here we go. We're not going to sit here and pick apart anything negative about it, unless that's where the conversation goes. Who knows? But obviously, we love this show, and so many great characters. But if you had to narrow it down to just one, Anthony, I will give you the first question. Favorite character on the show, and why?
Oh, man. So is it favorite character or best character?
Best character.
Best character? All right. In terms of arc and redemption, I'm going to throw a weird one out there, but I'm going to pick Steve Harrington, the boyfriend of Nancy Wheeler. Because the whole time you think he's kind of a douche.
Yeah.
He acts like one, but then you realize he's 16, 17, right? Something like that. He's probably like a
16.
junior or a senior in high school. So he acts the way he does because of his age. I mean, he just wants to get laid. That's all. But he really does like her, and that's made apparent throughout the series when he's telling his friends not to make fun of her. He didn't do when they painted Nancy Wheeler as a slut up on the marquee at the movie theater. I mean, he said it wasn't my idea. I didn't want to do that. And plus, in the end, he saves them with the spike with the baseball bat. And he does that cool spinny sword move.
Yeah.
Where he like spins the bat around and then knocks the thing out. If it wasn't for him, Nancy would be dead and Jonathan would both be dead. So I think he's probably the best character in terms of redemption. And you know, at the end, he's got that smug little smile.
So those are your 3-point category. Redemption,
Yeah.
emotion, is that what you're saying? Because of the fact
Redemption, emotion, and he's just, there's really nothing too special about him, but he's the unlikely hero that saves the day.
So redemption, emotion, and the unlikely hero. Robert, your counterpoint.
Counterpoint. My favorite okay, so Dustin is my favorite character.
Boo. Okay, let me tell you one thing. I'm just saying.
Hold on, he gave you your time, sir. I got to moderate this fair. He gave you your time.
Dustin is by far one of the best characters. He is probably the one that reminds us the most who is like us, who's kind of an outsider. And so he's the most human person on there that reminds us of the characters. And in terms of because he's just an observer for the most part. He participates, but he gets to say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Gets to say whatever he wants. He has his opinion, and it's actually valid, even when oh God, two characters are fighting. It's like, you drew first blood. He's calling his friends out. He is the most human character who just kind of sees things clearly, despite all the stuff that's going on.
And he lives his life through D&D rules.
So your arguments here are that he's relatable.
Yes.
He's one of the most involved characters in the show.
Yes.
And he's the most real-world character.
Real world character.
Okay. So based on those three arguments, I'm going to have to award the point to Robert for Dustin. And there is a secondary reason to that. If I was a little bit partial, it's because he mentions Green Lantern when they're having a discussion. How did Elle get her powers? Was she born with them like Professor X, or did she acquire them like Green Lantern? So, favorite character. Now, least favorite character, and why? The character that this show did not need. If you remove them, you don't lose anything.
Steve Harrington. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be the weird. Wow.
I would say probably Mike Wheeler's dad, the useless guy. He just sat there. I'm sure it's fine, honey. The government is taking care of it. It's the government. He is just useless. Should I go talk to him when his son's best friend is dead, or supposedly? Should I go talk to him? Be a man. Go up there and talk to him. You don't have to ask your wife for permission. And then when he's fixing the TV, he's basically a background character, but he's fixing the TV. He's like, damn rabbit ears. And then he's like, Mom, can I play this game for a little bit longer? No, ask your father. Dad, can I play it for a little bit longer? Come on, ask your mother. He's useless. He should go.
Unauthoritative, effeminate, And
Useless.
Emasculate.
Totally useless.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with a really controversial pick. I'm going to pick Matthew Modine's character as the most useless character that I could have done without, because he was just
Who did he play?
he was the villain. He was the villain, government. He was the government guy.
Okay.
He just showed up. He did nothing. He saw he did all these things.
Papa, that guy?
Yeah, like Papa.
Yeah.
He just showed up and did these things. 11. Now you could have had a government conspiracy and had all the people get shot and had this guy behind the scenes. But I felt his character was useless because he would show up and just kind of look at you menacingly and he just didn't feel a part of the story.
No.
And that's where I didn't appreciate it. It was like, okay, it's nice to see Matthew Modine on camera, but he's really not doing anything except being that typical 80s, secretive government villain, which you could have, the woman who cacked the guy in the beginning of the show was much more interesting.
She was way more scary. And then when she shows up at the teacher's house and is asking about the kids.
It's like, really?
All right, so when it comes down to those two characters, Mike Wheeler's dad versus the government official, I'm going to give the point to Anthony for the simple reason that you negated your own point by saying he is such the 80s quintessential movie villain when that is what this is supposed to be, is the quintessential cheesy 80s
villain. Yeah,
so,
okay.
Point to Anthony for that one there. Now we're going to move on here to quite a bit of a little one here. What is the best B story in this show? So obviously the L storyline, the Demigorgon, not important at all. What's the best little running story? The one thing, it could have been resolved, could have been left, however, that you liked in this show, other than the whole let's find Will and what can L do?
I'm tempted to say Hopper's story, because Hopper's story is really cool, and Hopper is just so badass. But I think I'm going to have to give it to Mike Wheeler's dad. He just wanted to get that TV fixed. No, I'm just kidding.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. The B story, I really did like Steve's, his whole, just the whole thing. I mean, it started out with him trying to get laid, and it ended up with him really falling in love with this girl and trying to do anything, even telling his friends off just to, prove a point to her that, he really does care about her. And he even says that at the end when his friends are being dicks. He says to them,
just propaganda
you never
monogamy.
even really liked her. You never even really cared about her. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think I'll go with that. Steve Harrington forever.
Robert?
I'm going to say Nancy Wheeler's story. That was one of the best B stories in terms of this, because it's this moment where she realizes her friend Barb is missing and nobody seems to care, but she does. And what happens is you see that she, as the more she becomes involved, you see that she's starting to catch up with her brother in terms of on this path of trying to connect the dots together, finding out what happened. When she meets up with Jonathan, Will's brother, you're like, okay, now they're starting to see things. And then when she goes to the upside down, the dark side, it's like she's really pulled in, and then she becomes this girly character who really becomes strong by the end of the story, because she's fighting with Steve and Jonathan.
Yeah, I always felt like she's like the Ripley.
Yeah, it was like she became Ripley.
Yeah. I mean, she's so good with the gun too.
She's like, you need to get out of here. She's like, the scene where like, you need to leave now, Steve. It's like, what? You need to leave.
So when it comes down to those two characters, I am going to award the point to Robert for the simple fact that a good B story, it has emotion, has resolution, and does have longevity over the course. It's not a simple one episode storyline and then it's over. So Robert takes the point for that one here.
Too sweet.
Now, the best overall episode of the 8 and why?
I say, just in terms of emotional capacity, I have to go with episode 8, the finale. Only for the reason where, I mean, also maybe the first episode, because that was just it was really screwy.
That is my choice.
The second episode is really good too, but in the last episode, when 11 faces the Demigorgon, I mean, in the last episode too, the kids who they named the monster, the Demigorgon, they kind of knew what was going on almost all along. And then they finally get to see the monster, and just the shock in every single one of those child actors' faces. It was so believable. And I mean, I watched the series one time with my girlfriend and another time with my really good friend of mine. And both times when 11 fights the Demigorgon and she just screams, everyone in the room started crying. Both times. I mean, it's so emotional and just raw. Everything wraps up in a nice way. It leaves you with a little trail at the end for like a good bit of mystery. What the hell's next? What could they possibly do after this? And that's everything a good finale needs.
Mine is episode 1. That's what drew me into the
Phantom
story.
Menace?
God, no, not that one. The first episode where it just drew me in. The moment you saw it, it gave me all the trappings of an 80s film, amazing stories. So anybody who remembers that, and you've heard me talk about this before, it just drew me in immediately. And the moment where you see what happens to Will, and then it just, you're like, what the hell's going on here? You see that guy running out of the building, and you're just trying to get away from this beast. It just was, you're like, what am I watching?
I forgot that's the cold
it's
open.
like, that's like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
What are you watching? You're trying to figure out what it is, what's going on.
Is episode 1 where Will's mom gets the phone call
Yes.
and it's just like static? Because that freaked me
What
right
kills me
out.
about, I have to like interrupt this a bit for a second. What kills me about that scene, and even when she goes for the old one, we had that exact phone growing up, that exact cream rotary phone, and those things were indestructible. So that was like such a little like homage moment for me. But so wrapping up with your points here. Not even like I'm trying to make this even, so I'll explain why. I'm going to give the point to Anthony with the final episode for the reason being that the best episode in a show should encapsulate that show in the entire episode, and nothing encapsulates that show more than the fight with the Demigorgon. With the single moment in that I take is them with the slingshot, just cocked ready to go.
And they even pick up the monster
kids
killer.
that aren't fearless, that are there to like, we're going to defend our friends, and I can fight. And that was so quintessentially what this show was
Can
like,
I just say that the kid that had the slingshot, the little black kid,
Let me get it.
whatever his name is.
like he's the worst character on the show to me. So.
He had
Lucas.
Lucas. He had the greatest posture I've ever seen for someone with a slingshot. Just like that wind up and the
Bart
unclosed
Simpson-esque.
eyes. It was so good. And of
Alrighty.
course, he had the bandana across the forehead too.
So going in, we are now tied 2-2. Anthony just took the last point. Now, here's an interesting one, and you can go wherever you want with this, no limits. Recast one character on the show, and why?
Winona Ryder. I'd recast her
That's
immediately.
the easy. I'm sorry, bullcrap, man. That is the easiest.
thought
pick
she was
in the
the worst
show.
character on
She's
the show.
obviously the worst character on the show, but like, okay,
I don't
so
know, I
recast
like-
her. Same exact lines, same exact emotion, same exact performance. That's what you have to take into this. So everything has to be the exact same. They have to emote the same way. You're not changing anything about the performance. You're just changing the person doing it. So if that sways your decision at all,
Sally Field.
that's going to be a hard one to
I
beat.
would replace Winona Ryder with Sally Field.
Because he picked the easy character, but a damn good actress.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine would be, again, Matthew Modine, because I just didn't like his villain.
So keep in mind, same performance.
Same performance. Oh, Alan Rickman would be really great in that role.
Okay, yeah, that's totally legal. You can go
And
anywhere.
he passed away, but I'm like, he would have been perfect for that role because it's just Matthew Modine doesn't emote well.
And Alan Rickman emotes without even
Yeah,
blinking.
and he's
Yeah.
also like unbelievable when he talks.
It's
I didn't buy it from him.
It was like he was trying to explain it, and like you not to say that you want an English actor to do this, because I think Matthew, I just didn't like his performance. And again, nice to see 80s actors working again, and 80s,
I'm going to actually have to call this one a tie because you guys negated each other's points. You recasted a bad actress with an amazing actress who could bring an emotion, and you casted a bad actor with an actor that doesn't need to say a word to bring like just terror into your heart.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that one a tie. I didn't think that was
My B answer I still would have replaced her, but with Jeff Goldblum. I would have
I
had him play
couldn't
the
handle
mother.
Brundlefly in the Stranger Things universe. All right. Wow, I did not think that was going to wind up a tie. I thought that was going to be like one of the left field questions. All right. Now here's a counterpoint for you that you guys aren't prepared for this question. Pitch me your best Will story and twist.
Will becoming the Demigorgon. That's it.
Mic drop. Like, just strategery.
Season 2, his slow progression as the next villain of the series.
Oof, I think he can just end it right. You don't even need to go deeper into that, Robert.
that's a hard one.
You're in check right now, buddy. You got 3 moves left.
Best Will story and for season 2, if we were going to do it. Oh man, Man, I don't know if I can do this. Oh God. What would I tell the story of?
It's kind of like you're an amateur guitarist and Jimi Hendrix just got off the stage because that was.
Yeah, that's it. I feel like, how would I do that? I would probably try to see.
Shyamalan this.
Yeah, I would try to tell the story of Will trying to search for 11. Okay. That would be it. I mean, like that's weak sauce. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Anthony,
that's weak sauce. That's like that was a left field question.
The moment Anthony stopped talking, he won the point.
Yeah.
So
wouldn't it be cool if Will had a way to basically like an instant transmission, like just instantly teleport into the upside down?
Suddenly he's Goku now.
That would be cool because he would be the key to the doorway between the two worlds, and the boys could use Will to get there to search for 11. That'd be kind of neat.
All right. So that was way too easy of a left field question. So now Robert's going to get the first chance here to make this fair. What's the best supernatural moment in the show and why? So storyline aside, episodes aside, just the best one moment that encapsulated the supernatural aspect of this show.
The first episode, the guy running out of the boat, like that, the cold open, where he's just trying to get out of. You see all this fuzz or toxic, like you dandelions running around, and he is booking it out of there. Like he's just like, I've got to get out of here. He's waiting for the elevator. The elevator's slow, and you're like, what's coming? What's coming?
And then there was that awesome alien homage where it just pops
out of the ceiling, and you're like,
him up.
and that was like the supernatural moment for me.
Very good point. Now, Anthony,
mine's easy. I've already know this one. 11 flipping the truck.
See, all right,
because that was so cool. First of all, no one saw that coming. No one. Nobody watching that knew she was going to flip this truck 20 feet in the air. Killed whoever was inside easily.
Yeah, they're not
they got crushed.
Yeah, there's no way that there's an A-team moment where like, oh, the guy's got a truck.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to retract that. When you really show 11's power is busting the brains out of the 3 security guards in the building in the end. When they all start bleeding from the eyes, nose, and ears, that was pretty wacky.
You have a strong point, but I'm going to award the point to Robert for the simple fact that it's in its essence supernatural by definition. More 11 doing the truck is more super heroic than anything like that, and the security guard thing is more retaliatory. And like there's emotion behind it, there's a reason behind it. Just pure supernatural. You don't know anything, so I'm going to reward that point to Robert. I personally would have gone with episode 3. The whole alphabet on the wall thing is when I was questioning Will, and then you get to see the Demogorgon coming out chasing her. That to me was
cool.
like
Coming through the wall.
Yeah, you get every aspect of supernatural there. So had any of you said that, you would have just won the point in my head. Now 3 points, and keep it to 3 points. Things that you have to see next season.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. What deal Hopper made with the government? What happened to that upside down slug that Will vomited at the end of the series? And will 11 come back?
Very good answers.
Okay, 1. Did their science teacher ever get laid by that hot Asian girl he was on a date with? 2. Where's 11 because Hopper left the waffles at the end and the hot food? What's the deal with that? And does the box hold any significance? And then 3.
Was Mike Wheeler's dad's TV really
Did he ever get the channel that he wanted?
There should be a whole episode in season 2.
I would add to that. I'm going to piggyback off of one of yours, but I won't directly steal one of them. Why after the... I know. No, you see, I'm going to build a wall around your answers, and it's going to be great. So when Will spit out the slug and he saw the upside down for a moment, how come when he went back to the table, he said, everything's fine, and then went right back to eating his dinner? I thought that was just really weird, and I need to see why that happened.
In true politician style, the point goes to Anthony. He appealed to the everyman with wanting to know if that guy banged the Asian chick. I mean, we all want to know, did he get it in? I mean, that cold open, season 2, should just show us what happened.
You know he did. He's got that sweet mustache.
All right, so coming in with just several questions left, we have Anthony in the lead with 4 points, Robert right behind him with 3. So now we have to go, we've had best supernatural moment, best single moment of the show. One moment, and we're not counting the finale here. You can't pull anything from the final battle. The best just single moment that encapsulates this show.
11 in the Eggos.
That is good.
There's two answers that I had in my head. That's one of them. So I'm going to see if you nail the other. Just think quintessential moment in the show. Doesn't have to be relative to the plot. Just what you think that moment is like, oh, that shows something that I love.
I'm going to pick a weird one here and kind of go off the cuff and say I think it had the best original score I've heard in like the last... I mean, I can't even think of a movie or TV series that had that good of an original score, except...
No offense, but that's like picking my favorite member of the team's the Bat Boy, because he's the guy that really makes sure it gets
I don't
done.
know,
The music
to
makes
me,
the show.
That show would not have been as dramatic if they had anybody else produce the soundtrack other than the two members of the band Survive that did. I mean, everything about it was just so quintessentially 80s and perfect. They hit all the right beats. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the music.
So, music.
I can't hear half of those tones or instruments without thinking of Stranger Things now.
Best single moment in the show.
Outside of the...
you already gave your answer.
yeah.
11 taking the Eggos. I'm going to give 11 taking the Eggos. The only other answer that I had in my head was Mike and 11's kiss. Just because the whole explanation of like...
We can go to the snowball.
You'll be like my brother? No, not like my brother. Like,
as soon as he asked her to the snowball, I was like, well, she's
it
dead.
had such honesty in the way that moment happened of him wanting, because you literally saw it in his eyes of like, should I make that move? Should I do that? And that's just so quintessential what it's like at that age. Like, it actually took me back a little bit, which is one of the best things that a show could do. But yeah, absolutely, Robert with the Eggo. So you guys are staying in this pretty tight here. Coming down to the final two questions. So who's going to take this thing home here? Alrighty. Now, you have to tell me the best 80s moment in this show. One moment that encapsulates the 80s perfectly. That you were like, oh yeah, that's so spot on.
Easy. Dad with the rabbit ears on the TV. That's all I remember doing in the 80s. Trying to wiggle those damn rabbit ears so I could catch a little PBS.
I'm going to tell you, but there's a very simple answer to this.
Either that, or I would say when Will's brother Jonathan is showing Will his like favorite soundtrack when they're listening to the record, because that was pretty good.
So, Robert, you get two chances since he had two. So, two amazingly 80s moments.
I'm trying to think of... that D&D was one of them for me, just to see. It's like, what do you guys do on a Friday, and what do you do on a weeknight? You play Dungeons and Dragons. If you're bored and you have a kid. What was the other quintessential 80s moment? I think the high school. That was like it. They played up the entire high school, the archetypes of Steve Harrington's friends, like the cool guy, and he's got the really douchey friend,
and the nerds,
and the nerds, and
the ham radio. Why didn't I say that? Ham radio is definitely up there for me.
The AV club. So
all right, so I'm going to award that point to Anthony, because I think that he kind of knocked out of the park there. One moment that I would have thought that it was quintessentially 80s was just kids riding around on their bikes with lack of adult supervision. Nobody cared where anybody... Like, those kids were so far out of adults' points of view. So, think about it. Like, they almost killed Mike, pushed him off a cliff. Not an adult for miles. Nobody was
Not only that, the kid was going to stab his friend in the face.
That's what I'm saying. Like, not an adult to be seen. And that's what it was like. Literally, they would come home when street lights
that's
were on.
why I know that that Will's dad was kind of a dick, but he was right. He went up to the quarry. There was no signs anywhere, no guards, no railings, nothing. And that's where the kids were playing at the end. And Mike went off of a cliff.
you're gonna jump.
So
He did though. The balls on that kid.
That was one of those moments where I was like, oh shit, this kid's actually got like some gall behind him and stuff like that. Like, he had a spine, because up until then he was all talk.
Well, he went and pushed the bully too in the middle of the assembly.
Which that was a cool moment too. Like, that was like I wish I had done that. Like,
yeah.
All right, so I did not actually anticipate we were going to be tied going into the final question here, but here is the tiebreaker, and really, really put some effort into this one. Replace 11's superpower with any power of your choosing. Plot remains the same. Only thing different is the power.
So no telekinesis.
No telekinesis. Yeah, yeah. See, that's what you get here. That's the sound of thinking right there.
Okay.
This is exactly the response I wanted. I'm so happy.
I want to see 11 be able to teleport in and out of
Are
the
you
upside
appealing
down.
to the Heroes fan? Is that pandering right now?
No, in and out of the upside down at will. Being able to teleport the kids out of danger. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the old jumper teleporter.
I was gonna go just sort of the lines, not to piggyback off, but the ability to warp reality, and so because then that helps the plot make much more sense. Why the upside down is peering in versus that.
And why she has some strange connection with the Demigorgon. Or why it appears that way anyways. Yeah. I know you're stumped because teleportation's your favorite power joke.
I'm going to award the point to Anthony because of the fact that teleportation would allow the plot to kind of remain the same. But if I actually had to give an answer, I would blend both of yours and make her power the ability to open up the doorway to the upside down and back. So it could be her unwillingly letting the Demigorgon and things like that, and something she can't control. Yeah. So she unwillingly does it when she gets the same way that like when she got amped up with emotion, she would move things and stuff like that. When she gets amped up, she opens the doorway and God knows what can come through. But so actually,
or be sucked out.
There you go. Or like, yeah, she could accidentally just banish people to the upside down.
Yeah,
that'd be so
because that would have
cool.
that would have made that whole thing with her. Like, let's say
you both seen Heroes, right?
Yeah.
There was a guy who was on only one episode of Heroes. He could create black holes that sucked people in, and he did it by accident.
Yeah.
Like that was how the first thing. Something like that, where she could just and someone's just gone.
That would have been a cooler thing when she gets rid of the guards in the last episode. She just banished them to the upside down instead of killing them. That would have been way cooler.
And then you cut to the end of the season, like the last shot of the upside down, you see everybody there. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Or just all of them hanging in the walls with the tubes in their mouth.
Cool.
So I won this debate. No, I'm just kidding. So actually, Anthony wins the first Get Your Geek On debate. I actually thought Robert was going to Robert, you led really early on, man. I thought that you were going to finish strong, but Anthony came from behind.
I share my victory with you, sir.
I think it was the moment he put the Asian chick out there, the tide started to turn. And then you tried to get it with the Egos, and then he just killed it when he said that.
You hear that, entire continent of Asia?
We're coming for you. Ni hao, moshi moshi. But yeah, so Stranger Things, obviously we love the show. Check it out. We'd love to hear your responses, see what you thought of Robert and Anthony's answers. Make sure you check out our episode next week. We're going to be bringing you our top 3 movies in many different categories, debating them, and seeing what you're going to think on our live chat. So for this week's episode of Get Your Geek On, I'm Chuck KIWACZ.
Robert Dokes.
And I'm your humble winner, Anthony Arsenio, the best there ever was.
Finish him. Anthony wins. Flawless victory. And we'll see you guys next week. Make sure you check out Stranger Things on Netflix and let us know your thoughts below. As always, you can catch us on Nerd Herder, Nerdorama Network, and YouTube. Have a week, guys.
Bye.
Get your freak on.